Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is December the 5th, 2025. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy Friday to ya. Hopefully, this episode finds you in a good place, in a good space. Hopefully you're feeling that Friday energy, whether you're listening to this on a late Friday night or random Tuesday morning. Hopefully, things feel very Friday for you. I would say my day was very good, very Friday. It's very cold, but I mean, pretty classic for the week. It's just been a cold one. But we got through it, got up in a timely manner, got to work. Work was the usual busy that I have come to expect for peak, but nothing crazy. No alarm bells. Overall, a pretty smooth, pretty easy day. Post work, we went to the gym. Gym was also good, pretty, as expected. Did the Smith machine, did some, free weights. I got to my core work, and I didn't hit the any of the my circuit stuff, my filler workout. Just went straight to cardio after that. I kind of just wanted to get home in a 2 hour, time frame in terms of just being at the gym. I didn't want to work over. But I will say it was a good workout, a little bit different in the sense of we got to clear a PR, personal record. That was nice. Added another 5 pounds I added another 5, so essentially I guess 10. To pretty much all my movements on the Smith machine, so that was good. That felt good. I think now our max for our squat and deadlift are 345, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm very hype about that. Feels really good. Definitely still have a lot of work, and I also will add the caveat that I was maybe a little bit impatient. But, I've just been kind of mulling over what I wanted to do, and I came up with the solution of actually, I don't want to do more. I'm going to do less, but just add a little bit of volume. How about that? And, I mean, we'll see how that works. Hopefully, things continue to just, progress as I want them to. But I don't know. I'm always in different modes where I feel like, oh, I'm not doing enough, or oh, I'm doing too much, or oh, I'm doing everything just right. Let's just be patient and just keep at it. Consistency is key, and I try to be on the last one as much as possible, just knowing that, hey, as long as I'm consistent and I'm showing up every day like I do, everything's going to be fine. Whether or not you quote unquote get the body you're looking for, the physique you're grinding for, I think the proof will be in the pudding, and I'll see it in terms of my results, in terms of strength, like what I'm able to do in the gym, and that'll be good. I think I've just been a little bit anxious because, you just start feeling the plateau in so many ways when you think about it too much, or you just haven't seen any changes. I really haven't been doing any more progressive overloads like I used to, when I feel like we were on year one, doing all the weight training stuff. So it's man, have we crapped out? Are we not doing enough? But it's no, it's okay to hit this plateau. If anything, it's just hey, we either add more reps or we attempt to add a little bit and just, get used to that. That's kind of where I'm at with it right now. But yeah, as always, I'll keep you posted on my gym journey. But yeah, it was a little bit, it was good overall, just a little bit different being oh, I know I can hit my filler workout, but I'm just not gonna because I want my time. But also, I want it bad enough that I'm gonna up my weight volume to get this PR. It was a little weird. I was kind of going in both directions today. But overall, a good day overall was had. I will take it. I'm not complaining. Post the gym, we came home, had a little snack, did a little research, and here we are, ready to yap it out. All right, so yeah, let's go ahead and do our startup, and let's get into some news. All right. Let's do it. From the Associated Press. U.S. military conducts strike on another suspected drug boat as probe into the first strike begins. The U.S. Southern Command announced that it had conducted another strike against a small boat in the Eastern Pacific Ocean on Thursday, following a pause of almost 3 weeks. It is the 22nd strike the U.S. military has carried out against boats in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific Ocean that the Trump administration claimed were trafficking drugs. There were 4 casualties in Thursday's strike, according to social media, bringing the death toll of the campaign to at least 87 people. In a video that accompanied the announcement, a small boat can be seen moving across the water before it is suddenly consumed by a large explosion. The video then zooms out to show the boat covered in flames and billowing smoke. Now, they mentioned the name Admiral Frank Mitch Bradley. Now, this has been, one of the people conducting a lot of these strikes. I believe he was also involved in the strike that took place on September 2nd. It's definitely looking like if there is ever going to be a fall guy in the future for this shit, it's going to be this dude. Because essentially he's saying, hey, actually Hegseth didn't give me a kill 'em all order, but I did conduct that, operation, to the best of my ability. And, I did what I thought was correct. And Hegseth is backing that play, even though it was leaked that Hegseth had issued the command to kill them all and, essentially was A-okay with it happening until like, oh, wait, you guys are like mad? You guys are like talking war crimes bad? And, decided to say, oh, actually, I only saw like the first part. I only watched like part of the video and then I was on to the next meeting. You know how shit goes. I actually didn't. And I didn't say that. I didn't say kill them all. I didn't. I just, neutralize the threat type shit. He changed the verbiage. So, anyway. Sadly, this is, become par of the course for the Trump administration. It doesn't look like this investigation into the September 2nd strike in terms of like that whole double tap thing has really changed anything. We're still hanging on the narrative that these are narco terrorists and that this is like some kind of active combat scenario. I'm going to read a little bit more here, skipping ahead. Republican Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas said he saw the survivors trying to flip a boat loaded with drugs bound for the United States back over so they could stay in the fight. Connecticut Representative Jim Hines, the top Democrat of the House Intelligence Committee, said, "What I saw in that room was one of the most troubling things I've seen in my time in public service. You have 2 individuals in clear distress without any means of locomotion with a destroyed vessel," he said, adding, "were killed by the United States," which I would agree. So yeah, I mean, like I said, sadly, I do think that this is going to be something that is going to keep continuing because it's not like this administration is really doing anything to stop drugs in America. So if we at least make a flashy little show and say, hey, we're doing something, even though really it's a whole lot of fucking nothing, maybe his base goes, okay, that's fine. Thank you. Thank you, Daddy Trump. Thank you so much. And I guess that pairs well, once again, domestically, just locking up every brown person you see for whatever given reason and saying, all right, there we go. We did it now. America's great again. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on. We have another story. This is a bit of a flashback. More of a flashbang, actually. Anyway, ABC News. Suspect arrested in January 6th pipe bomb case. Sources. Federal authorities have arrested a Virginia man in connection with the placement of 2 pipe bombs outside the headquarters of the Republican and Democratic National Committees the night before the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol. Sources familiar with the matter tell ABC News. Now, I'm going to be real with y'all, okay? I don't recall this. Am I crazy? Like, was this something that was actually making the news round and it just completely missed my fucking radar? That's very possible. Look, I'm a simple man. I make mistakes, you know? I fuck up. Things go over my head. But truly, this was not something that had even registered to me. Whenever we think about January 6th, I just think about the day. But apparently a day before, there was a dude on some fucking Bomberman shit. So yeah, I figured, okay, let's get acquainted with the story, at least me for the first time. Maybe for my dear listeners who are a little bit more savvy and up to date with the news, you know, even back then you already knew about this shit. And you're maybe thinking like, why aren't more people talking about it? I don't know, but I mean, shit. Let's dig in. The suspect is expected to face charges for allegedly planting the devices, which investigators later determined were viable explosives that, if detonated, have resulted in serious death or injury, marking an extraordinary development in one of the most high-profile federal investigations in recent history. It's not clear the full scope of evidence authorities have gathered, allegedly tying him to the planting of bombs. Let's see. This is one of the earlier articles. I wish I had pulled up actually another one now. Let's see. The arrest comes nearly... Actually, I do have the other one up. Boom. Here we go. It was Brian Cole is the name of the suspect. Let's see here. Investigators describe the suspect as having a severe gait, pointing to the movement seen in security camera footage. Actually, let me go ahead and read a little bit further up. The arrest comes nearly 5 years after the discovery of the pipe bombs outside the RNC and DNC headquarters on the afternoon of January 6th, roughly 16 hours after they were placed by a suspect who was seen on various surveillance cameras wearing a gray hooded sweatshirt, a mask, and a pair of Nike Air Max Speed Turf sneakers with a yellow logo. The discovery triggered a massive law enforcement response to both locations, just minutes before hundreds of supporters of President Donald Trump, began breaching barricades outside the U.S. Capitol as lawmakers were convening to certify Joe Biden's 2020 election win. The evidence of other distinctive identifying characteristics of the suspect frustrated investigators for years as they issued repeated pleas for the public for tips that could help them track down the pipe bomber. But 4 years after the incident, the FBI still couldn't definitively state the suspect's gender, despite an expansive probe that the Bureau said included more than 1,000 interviews, a review of more than 39,000 video files, and over 600 tips from the public that were investigated. The FBI offered a reward of $500,000 to anyone who provided information, leading to the identification and arrest of the suspect. The lack of answers led to widespread conspiracy theories about the suspect's potential political motivations and speculation over whether they may have had foreknowledge about the attack on the U.S. Capitol. There's a massive cover-up because the person who planted those pipe bombs, they don't want you to know who it was because it's either connected anti-Trump insider. Let me read that back. It's either a connected anti-Trump insider or this was an inside job. Dan Bongino, now the deputy FBI director, said on the Dan Bongino show in November 2024. Now, I just want to make it aside here. See, podcasters, content creators, they can't help themselves. It's sometimes you go, well, what should the name of my thing be? Like, you know, maybe it should be some jazzy, cool title. And it's like, maybe it should just be my name. Maybe it should just be my name in the fucking headline. It's me. I'm hosting it. Look, on that, me and Dan Bongino, we completely actually agree, sadly. But let me continue on with this quote. Those bombs were planted there. This was a setup. I have zero doubt. It's like, okay, bro. But then he's also, now that he is, you know, a part of the machine, he goes, well, we're doing our job. Unlike the Biden administration, like we're actually, you know, doing the work. We're putting in the hours and we found the person. Like we did it. And it's like, brother, you're still contradicting the old you who said this was some fucking like Democratic, you know, inside job. It's like, brother, you were just shooting off the fucking hip back then. And I still feel like you are now. I don't think anything's fucking changed. You're still fucking just making this shit up as you fucking go. But, now you're in a place of power. You're not just a fucking yapper, which is crazy. It's wild that this guy and fucking Kash Patel are in charge of the FBI fucking I, dude. And they're teaming up with Scam Blondie, Pam Bondi, if you will. Anyway, let me get back to the article. The pipe bomb placed at the DNC came within feet of then Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, according to a subsequent report from the Department of Homeland Security's Inspector General. The Vice President-elect, traveling in an armored vehicle with her motorcade, entered the building via a ramp within 20 feet of the pipe bomb and was in the building for approximately 1 hour and 40 minutes before the pipe bomb was discovered and she was subsequently evacuated. The pipe bomb was about 9 feet from the building's exterior wall, the report said. A House committee report released earlier this year provided new insight into the FBI's investigation into the pipe bombs and also highlighted multiple failures by law enforcement to detect the devices and properly secure the scenes after they were discovered. Now, I do want to mention the CNBC article. I'll go ahead and read the headline. January 6 pipe bomb suspect Brian Cole confessed he supports Trump and has anarchist views. Accused pipe bomb planter Brian Cole Jr. confessed his crimes to the FBI. Cole also told agents that he supported President Donald Trump and held anarchist views. Also, I believe that he essentially believed that the election was rigged, that Donald Trump should have won. And I think that was part of his motivation. But I want to say that's, a bit suspicion there because at least reading between either of these two articles, they don't know the motivations. So as a recording, I guess we don't know the motivations. I do feel like I've read some headlines saying that it's like, no, he believed it was rigged. That's why. But once again, I'm sure I could have clicked that and then saw the New York Post and be like, well, they say any fucking thing that's going to get you to fucking click. So I should be a bit more careful. But yes, I mean, this was a big development. And I once again, I'm kicking myself, hitting myself in the head. Like, I'm like, how did this go over me? Like, I can't believe I missed this. Also, it's worth noting, I mean, from just kind of reading, hopefully you gleaned, the bombs did not go off. They were all set, ready to blow, but they didn't. So, I mean, that's a good thing because many people would have been fucking hurt. I don't get the idea. I mean, I guess this leans to the whole anarchist thing because why, if you're a Trump supporter, why would you, do both when you just do the one? But I mean, maybe you're just like, nah, I'm gonna set it off. I'm gonna make it all crazy. Look, I'm sorry. And this is maybe me being a little controversial, a hot take. A lot of anarchists I run into and I've talked to, whatever, not that I run into a ton, but just you have the conversation and it plods along and it's just like, you're just being crusty for crusty's sake. Like, you're just kind of being chaotic. Like, what do you hope to accomplish? Like, what are the goals? It's like, I just want to just nuke it all, start over, scorched earth. Okay, cool, man. You're saying a lot of fun, buzzy words, but like, what? Like, what are we going to get now if you do that? You level everything out. Like, how are we going to, expand onward? And there are levels of actual anarchist organization, ideology, whatever you want to fucking call it, that actually do make sense. And it actually is a little bit more organized. There's infrastructure in it, believe it or not. And I was like, really? What? Wow. But it's just like, yeah, there's actually just people in this kind of movement, in this kind of thought that aren't actually crusty and actually do say, no, I do want to have this kind of reset. And I want to really take things down, but we do have to have some sense of order. Like, I'm not insane. I know people have to organize. That's a human, fucking nature thing. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I can at least listen to you, whether I agree or disagree, whatever. You know what I mean? At least we're talking something here. But I get it. This is all on a spectrum. I guess there's some people who are like, yeah, I'm gonna do a pipe bomb about it. Also, to give the FBI credit, they did pick up the ball and they did run with it. I guess in terms of the whole time with the Biden administration, during that time, they just didn't get enough, or they didn't do enough that it was definitive. But they were able to really, I guess, pick up the pace with the Trump administration. I'm not sure, like Bongino said, they really did run a lot down, and they're like, yes, this is definitely this guy. We got him. We're just gonna, get him now. Better late than never, right? So yeah, here we are, and I'm sure there's gonna be more details to come. Once again, it feels so weird being caught so flat-footed here. Normally, I feel like I have the excuse of like, well, it happened so far back. It was before recording, whatever. But it's like, nah, this should have been like kind of on my radar. I should have at least known. Like, I didn't even have the player knowledge on this one, so I'm kind of kicking myself. But anyway, I'll just kind of wipe the egg off my face, and let's go ahead and move on. The next couple stories, we're talking business. We're talking acquisitions. So yeah, let me take a quick water break, and then we'll go ahead and get into this Netflix Warner Brothers buy. I was very surprised to see this, but I mean, hey, sometimes the day is full of surprises. I will say though, per the January 6th thing, I do feel like I do have a good excuse. The whole January 6th insurrection happened. You know, that just kind of was the forefront of my thing. A failed pipe bomb maybe just went in one ear and out the other. That's maybe my defense, if you're going to put me on the stand, Your Honor. Okay, anyway, moving along. From NBC News. Netflix agrees to buy Warner Brothers and HBO Max, creating streaming titan. All right. In a watershed move, Warner Brothers Discovery said Friday it has agreed to sell its movie, television, and streaming assets to Netflix in a deal valued at $82.7 billion, setting the stage for one of the most sweeping and consequential mergers in modern Hollywood history. If approved by federal regulators, the transaction promises to create a new entertainment and media behemoth, uniting the world's largest streaming destination with a storied 102-year-old film studio. Warner Brothers' portfolio includes HBO, the HBO Max streaming platform, and the Harry Potter movie franchise. Netflix, home of Stranger Things and Squid Game, reaches more than 300 million paid subscribers across over 190 countries. Speaking of Stranger Things, I've not been watching Stranger Things. I have watched Stranger Things up until the season. It's not a boycott. Y'all know how I feel about that shit. That's been another thing that's been kind of going on over the past like week and a half is, we're boycotting Stranger Things. We're boycotting Spotify for this reason or that reason. I'm like, y'all are going to keep trying to fucking ethically consume in a capitalist society. And I'm not in this discourse anymore. Like I got it out of my system. I'm cool, bro. I don't even want to yell about it anymore. I just don't want to watch Stranger Things because I feel like they are milking the fuck out of it. Like, I'm not going to do any spoilers or anything, but like, I generally enjoyed Stranger Things up until the last season, and I just remember saying like, man, hot take, you guys really should have sent into this like a season before because I kind of think these kids are getting too old for this. And then, okay, if you're not going to do that, then like, hey, ending it on the last season prior, that's fine. This is good. It's high action. We've peaked. We've done it. And now we can say it's over. Nope, it's not over. And not only is it not over, we are now like jumping the shark with I think 3-act release. You know, like this is releasing in waves. It's just, come on. They already have your money and they're just like, hey, just hold on for like a couple more months. Like, I don't know, man. So to each their own. I'm totally, excuse me. I'm saying all this to say, hey, if you know me, you're a friend, you're a dear listener, you can spoil this for me. I am totally down for spoilers. Tell me how things are going in Stranger Things. Is it cool? Is it awesome? Is there squelching? I do want to know, but I'm just too lazy. And I'm not paying them. I'm not paying them damn near $20 to fucking find out. Even when this shit is over, I don't know. I don't think I will, but maybe I might change my mind. But I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. I'll probably just like wiki it and just get the story, and then I'll know. I know that's so whack, but I just don't have a taste for this shit. And maybe this is all part of it. Let's continue. Let's get to the meat of the matter. Our mission has always been to entertain the world. Ted Sarandos, co-CEO of Netflix, said in a news release. By combining Warner Brothers' incredible library of shows and movies, from timeless classics like Casablanca and Citizen Kane to modern favorites like Harry Potter and Friends, with our culture-defining titles like Stranger Things, K-pop Demon Hunters, and Squid Game, we'll be able to do that even better. Like, yeah, okay, man, you're dominating all screens. That's so cool. Everyone is gonna love what comes next. Cinephiles, stay tuned. Like, together, we can give audiences more of what they love and help define the next century of storytelling. Sarandos added, which I think that they're trying to say this in like a way that seems like very inspiring and like makes you happy, but I think a lot of people are looking at this with like a very ominous lens. Netflix's takeover of Warner Brothers would usher in a new era for Hollywood, which has evolved from a business focus on theatrical exhibition to an increasingly digital-first industry. The acquisition cements Netflix market dominance and expands the company's content library as it faces off against tech giants such as YouTube and TikTok, which is so weird because I totally get it. Like, you are competing for that time. Like, you want to be on their phone. You want to be on their computers. Like, you want them to be streaming you. But what else are they going to watch? Well, I know me personally, I'm watching YouTube. You know what I mean? TikTok, not so much. Me, I'm more of a Twitch guy, but we all know that that's all kind of small potatoes. YouTube and TikTok are really the big ones in this streaming kind of world. And it's because they aren't maybe so much on your TV, but they're on your phone. They're in your pocket. And Netflix is like, man, how do we get there? And I mean, really, they've tried games. Obviously they've been trying to crank out as many TV show, movie things as possible, but really, I mean, how much is it working? Are you personally really putting them in that kind of atmosphere as a YouTube or TikTok? I know me personally, no. Like I said, I'm not paying them any fucking money at this point. But the deal would give Netflix access to popular and lucrative intellectual property, including DC Comics characters such as Batman and Superman, the Game of Thrones TV saga, and a vast trove of titles stretching from Hollywood's classical era to the age of CGI-powered fantasy epics. So that's the thing that's weird. Like, I wonder, are we going to keep them separated? Is Netflix going to raid the vault here and just kind of take whatever family jewels it wants and then throw it on its, make it a TV show out of it? That's something that I'm very curious to see what is going to come. But in the lead up to the announcement, Netflix attempted to reassure the creative community by reportedly promising to release Warner Brothers movies in brick and mortar cinemas. But many filmmakers are deeply skeptical of Netflix's business model, which prioritizes streaming distribution over theatrical releases. Netflix typically releases only a handful of titles in select cinemas for short runs. Like, they were trying to brag in like a comment saying, hey, like, people act like we don't put out movies. We put out 30 theatrical releases this year. It's like, okay, cool, man. I think people really were stoked about Frankenstein, which I would say, actually, I want to see Frankenstein more than I want to see any more Stranger Things. I heard that shit was cool. I definitely do want to see that. So if you want to invite me over to watch some Frankenstein, I'm down. But they are essentially saying, yeah, we had like a limited theatrical release, and then of course it was on Netflix. That is not what you want when you are making this movie for a theater. Like, directors hate this fucking shit. They're like, dude, we're putting all this effort, all this money, all of this time is going into this, and essentially it's going to be on the fucking screen for maybe 2 weeks tops. If this is the best movie ever, it won't matter. It's going to go straight to more or less DVD in their head. That's how they view the streamers. And I get that. I agree. Now, this is weird because I think this is where most people are really like up in arms. And I think they're completely right to feel this way. I think it's a concerning thing. I think you should be ringing the alarm bell. But for me, this became a big fucking thing during COVID, or not during COVID, but post-COVID, around Dune. And I was like, dude, I'm not going to lie to y'all. I'm not going to lie to you, dude. I don't want to go to the movie theater. I kind of don't want to. And I remember being at home watching Dune was kind of sick. It was super fucking cool. For me personally, I like watching movies at my own leisure, at my own discretion, the way I want, fully comfortable, dogs out, okay? I like it like that. But, don't get me wrong, I get it. Movies are cool. I used to be really into the movie theaters, especially before I worked at a movie theater. It was nice. It was fun. But I'm not a let's all go to the movies kind of guy. Like, what can I say? It's just not my bag anymore. But But it is concerning. It is worrying because if this becomes the model, I mean, yeah, some fucking, inside bum like me is going to be like, all right, cool. There's maybe more of a chance that I might see a movie. But like, we've already kind of talked about how it's like, hey, if it's only going to like a Netflix streamer, then that makes it even more annoying to watch it, right? Especially if you don't have Netflix. You can't go to a theater and, you miss it because the window's so short. That sucks. So we just don't know. Like, it's definitely going to be, we gotta see what's around the corner, what's around the bend with that. Let me keep reading. Let me get back to the article. In a news release Friday announcing the deal, the two companies said that the acquisition would be a mix of cash and stock that valued Warner Brothers Discovery at $27.75 per share. Sorry, I spaced out. With an expertise value of $82.7 billion and an equity value of $72 billion, which takes into account Warner Brothers' debt. As of Thursday trading, Warner Brothers Discovery's entire market capitalization, the value of the company based on its stock price, was $60 billion. The size of Netflix's offer for Warner Brothers' streaming and HBO divisions was striking, with the streaming giant paying $72 billion just for those two divisions, more than the entire company's $60 billion market value. To help complete the cash part of the deal, Netflix said it would take out a $59 billion bridge loan from three major banks. Warner Brothers Discovery, weighed down by billions in debt and lackluster streaming growth, formally put itself up for sale in the fall. The company's suitors included Paramount, Skydance, and Comcast, which made bids in a largely secretive process. Comcast owns NBC Universal, the parent company of NBC News. And they had to mention that, being that this is NBC News. Today's announcement combines two of the greatest storytelling companies in the world to bring even more people to the entertainment they love to watch the most. David Zaslav, president and CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery, said in a news release. Also, I'm booing David Zaslav. I'm not a fucking fan. Also, what a big fucking crock of shit. David Zaslav does not care about stories. He cares about making fucking money. Bro would sooner put a story on the shelf to save some fucking tax revenue than goddamn tell you a good story. So I don't want to fucking hear it. And then two, I was thinking about this, especially with this whole merger thing. It really kind of just got my brain turning. And maybe I've had this thought off and on. But Netflix puts out so much schlock, like so much bullshit, because they know that they're really just trying to either keep you glued to the app in some way, shape, or form. It's just like ambient background noise. They know that you don't really give a shit. But like, just so that you can get like maybe one or two shows that are actually really kind of fire, really fucking cool, or a movie that you really enjoy. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be like a banger date night, okay? You're going to be Netflix and chilling for real. But I realized that I'm like, this model's not new. That's the same thing that Fox Studio was on. That was the same thing Fox Network has been on. You know what I mean? Where it's like, hey, you have The Simpsons, you have The Family Guy, and then you drop Family Guy because it wasn't making the numbers that you wanted, and then you pick back up Family Guy when it was like really hot again from, hanging out on Cartoon Network or whatever, Adult Swim. Like at the end of the day, you're a company that is only trying to create formulaic bullshit slop for people to eat up in a visual sense. That is what we're talking about. This is the greatest storytelling we're talking about here. So I'm like, that's why people are fucking icked out by this, dude. No one wants this to fucking happen. It's not like people are big Warner Brother fans, but the paradigm shift that this is it's probably major, right? Like it probably is officially us really giving up the ghost of saying, hey, let's all fucking go to the movies. Now that being said, I'm not doing that thing. I hate when people do that, where they go, oh, the movies are dead, bro. It's only a matter of time. It's the beginning of the end. I don't want to Chicken Little this shit. I don't want to fucking Sky is Falling. I do think that there's always going to be a commodity for this, just like there's, a desire to watch sports and things of that nature. Just because it's something that I'm not really into. I know that there are people either here or around the world that are into movies. I completely get that. So I don't think that movies are dead, but I do think that we are getting just ever more closer to just that slop swirl bullshit. And I think you're going to see a lot more dumb movies like that aren't good, but like, these motherfuckers want to make money, so how long is that gonna last? So I don't know, man. It's definitely an interesting time. Let me see here. There's more I could read, but I feel like we've kind of summed it up here. Yeah. I feel good about it. Obviously, you can come back to this article and really talk about it. I will say one more thing. I will add. I didn't know that Warner Brothers has been owned by so many other companies. That's something that really escaped me until I was kind of looking at this chart. But yeah, I mean, now it's down to Netflix. At least they're owning a big chunk of it. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. Like I said, I will spare you because we have one more article that I wanted to cover. We have one more acquisition. And I've been really key to say acquisition. I was talking to my friend trying to get some insight, some advice here, talking to a bit of a fashion expert. And I used the word merger because in my head, I'm thinking like this, like with the Netflix thing, what we're about to talk about, Prada and Versace, these are mergers. And my friend, they corrected me. They're like, no. Prada bought Versace. And I was like, true. You're right. So in the same way, this is a big deal too with Netflix buying Warner Brothers. I was once again, you know me, I'd be listening to the news podcast and talking, before I'd be talking at least, and then, they be saying this, that, and the third. There was one, I guess, kind of CEO, whatever, bigwig, who had once said, Netflix, like the idea that Netflix would be ever in a situation where they're going to be doing some kind of media takeover would be like Azerbaijan or like, the Albanian army doing something. And I was like trying to do like, a whole, takeover. Obviously I'm butchering that quote, but I was like, that's crazy to say. But also like I understood what he was saying. Cause essentially I'm sure, millennials like myself and up would remember what Netflix was in the infancy, what it was in the beginning. It was just like an app that had stupid bullshit that you could go on and watch some old, classic shows or whatever. You could catch some reruns and things of that nature. You could order a movie, they would mail it to you. Like that was Netflix. And that was fine. That was enough. I still was going to Blockbuster. Everything was great. Everything was fine. But now look, Netflix is kind of all there is. I won't say it's all that there is. There's other streamers, but they've redefined the whole game slowly but surely, right? And now we're in a situation where they're gonna be, and they already are, on the silver screen. But now they're as big as Warner Brothers. That is crazy. They're as big. They bought it. Like, god damn. So anyway, I felt like that was big. But anyway, I kind of hinted at what we're about to close out with. So let's go ahead and take our last break and let's close it out. Hooey. Oh, buddy. Ooh, buddy. All right. From ABC News. Prada Group says it has purchased fashion rival Versace in a deal worth nearly $1.4 billion. The Prada Group closed the purchase of Milan fashion rival Versace in a $1.375 billion cash deal that puts the fashion house, known for its sexy silhouettes, under the same roof as Prada's ugly chic aesthetic and I'm gonna fuck this up, mea culpa. Mumu? It's Mumu? I don't know. It's Mumu. We're gonna say Mumu, and I'm so sorry. Fashion heads, Prada heads, my bad. Mumu's youth-driven appeal. The highly anticipated deal is expected to relaunch Versace's fortunes after middling post-pandemic performance as part of the U.S. luxury group Capri Holdings. Prada said in a one-line statement that the acquisition had been completed after receiving all regulatory clearances. Capri Holdings, which owns Michael Kors and Jimmy Choo, said the money would be used to pay down debt. Donatella Versace welcomed the deal in an Instagram post, which also marked the birthday of the brand's late founder, her brother Gianni Versace. Versace. Sorry, I had to do that at least once. Today is your day, and the day Versace joins the Prada family. I am thinking of the smile you would have had on your face. She wrote in a post that also featured a 1979 photo of Gianni Versace with Musia. We're gonna say Musia Prada. So maybe it is Muy Muy. But you know me. I already made my fucking sorries. Okay. Prada heir Lorenzo Bertelli is set to steer Versace's next phase as executive chairman, in addition to his roles as group marketing director and sustainability chief. The son of co-creator director Musia Prada and longtime Prada Group chairman Maurizio Bertelli has said he doesn't expect to make any swift executive changes at Versace, although he also noted that the company, which is among the top 10 most recognized brands in the world, has long been underperforming in the market. So that was something that my friend had told me, because I don't know shit for fuck when it comes to any of these high fashion brands. I just kind of just wear some athleisure shit at this point. I will say I have had always an admiration of fashion. Part of the reason that did drive me to retail was my love of malls and then just the love of all the stuff in them. And I just love seeing a bunch of outfits and things of that nature. It was always nice to kind of at least view that through screens and stuff like that. Whenever like fashion weeks would pop up when I was younger, I'd at least like watch little clips and stuff. It was cool. But I wanted to talk to some of my homies, and I at least got to talk to one just real quick. And essentially they were saying, yes, this was a bigger deal for Versace, who is, that as a brand has been kind of on the rough side of things. And for Prada, this was a big acquisition for them, being able to be like, okay, we kind of just get, and I was like, is this kind of like big bank taking little bank? And they were like, yep, that's good. You get it. And I was like, okay, all right. Thank you. Prada has underlined that the 47-year-old Versace brand offered significant untapped growth potential. Versace is undergoing a creative relaunch under a new designer, Dario Vitali, who previewed his first collection during Milan Fashion Week in September. He was previously head of design at Muy Muy, but his move to Versace was unrelated to the Prada deal, executives have said. Capri Holdings paid $2 billion for Versace in 2018, but have been struggling to position the brand's bold profile in the recent era of quiet luxury. So yeah, I mean, there's more we could say here. I'm kind of gonna yada details here, but by all means read the article. I just figured, hey, I wanted to talk about this at some point if possible when I noticed it this week, and I figured, hey, we're already talking the Netflix Warner Brothers acquisition. Let's just go ahead and just go back to back. So hey, gotta talk a little TV, talk a little fashion, a little movie. I don't know. I figured, hey, well, that's an episode, huh? But yeah, that's it. That is where I will leave it for today. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/IsaiahNews. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube. Follow on TikTok. Follow on Spotify. Follow on Apple Podcasts. Wherever you like to listen, I should be there. Should be available. You are technically streaming me. Technically, weirdly, this is a video. It's a formatting thing. I know it's the shittiest video you've ever seen. Just my face. Just my face. But that's okay. Hi, it's me, But you can find me, stream me anywhere. Not on Netflix, not yet, but maybe one day. Oh boy. I was That was loud. My bad. Let's see. Leave a like. Leave a cool comment. Sharing is caring. 5 stars are appreciated on Spotify and or Apple Podcast. But if you don't do any of that, that's a-okay. Thank you for listening just to me fumble around throughout this week, just floundering, flopping, yapping about some news, yapping about my day, my precious little life. But yes, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.